I just got finished playing God of War Ragnarok, and like many people, I felt disappointed and unfulfilled. It's strange that I would feel that way, as so much of the game was similar to the 2018 God of War, which I absolutely loved, but I suppose that's part of the problem. Let's start by looking at the 2018 God of War game. It was a huge risk.
So I think I've been rehearsing that demo for a month. And it's just 9 minutes, but it's, to me, the most important 9 minutes of this game. Because that's the one where either everybody's gonna go, what the fuck are you doing? Or, what the fuck are you doing? That's awesome. Like, I have no idea what answer is gonna be either. It truly is like the cat is alive and dead at the same time right now.
They changed the entire mythos and location, changed the combat style, added a son, and one that would be fighting alongside you, as opposed to you going solo and killing everything in your path. I know because of Ragnarok, a lot of people are trying to go back and retroactively crap all over the first in the new series. My only message to you is, stop that. It was critically acclaimed for a reason. I was a massive fan of the original series, and if they messed it up, I would have been the loudest of critics. But they didn't. One of the several factors in the first of the new series that made it work so well is how little we knew. How did Kratos get to these Norse lands? Why? Who in the hell managed to subdue this raging beast and have a child with him? In this game, Kratos' demeanor made sense. His revenge is fulfilled, and as punishment for destroying all of Greece, he tried to off himself. In case you guys missed it, Kratos was not a hero in the original games. He has escaped his past, settled down, and started a new family. He doesn't need to fight anymore. His wife died and she had one wish, to have her ashes carried to and spread all over the highest peak in all the 9 realms. So in terms of story beats, we have a destination style adventure, a literal journey instead of just a metaphorical one. Kratos is going to places he has never been, that he doesn't know anything about, traversing the lakes, climbing mountains, figuring out what he has to do to continue moving forward, while still trying to figure out how someone like him can be a parent with everything he's done. We don't know what enemies we will face, and for some reason the gods now are trying to get in our way, and we didn't even do anything. Every conversation serves an important purpose of letting us know what is going on in these new lands, expanding on the relationship between Kratos and Atreus. We wonder, how much of his past do the new gods know? We are left in constant suspense. What will happen when Mimir realizes who he is? When Atreus realizes who he is? How will his son react knowing he's a half-god, and of Kratos' awful past? Their relationships take many twists and turns, leaving us with many emotional moments, such as when Atreus' god powers nearly kill him. When Athena is seen haunting the corners of his mind, we see that Kratos has ran away from his past, but has not come to terms with it. That's one of the parts that makes the end of the first game so memorable, so emotionally satisfying for me. When Kratos is finally, after the end of this long journey, able to let the bandages go, and he is able to come to grips with all that has happened. Kratos didn't need to fight anymore. He only fought when he must. He understandably tried to avoid fighting with the gods, who were hunting him and his son down, as that was not his purpose on this adventure. The only goal was getting to the top of the highest peak in all the realms, and removing all obstacles that stood in their way. God of War Ragnarok, on the other hand, was none of these things, but it pretended like it was. For Ragnarok, it was no longer a question of if the event was going to happen, it was on its way. The story beats were not a literal journey to a physical location. It was, or should have been, centered around the battle at the end of the world. It should have been around Kratos and Atreus finding a way to deal with it. Instead, Kratos' method seemed to be pretend it doesn't exist, and hope that you can teach your son enough hunting and fishing skills so that he can survive the annihilation of reality. Not a great plan there, Kratos, my boy. The end of 2018's game left us with the feeling that Kratos was finally at peace with everything that's happened, and he has learned to accept himself. When the sequel comes out, it's like nothing's changed. Kratos wants to avoid needless bloodshed, but when confronted by an enemy, will be as brutal as his old ways. He is confronted with a war that will inevitably end both him and his son that he is trying to protect. So instead of standing up and fighting for that, and fighting against the forces that seek to end him, he constantly, repeatedly runs away or tries to avoid it. At least until his son manages to drag him out of his hole with the adventures of looking for Tyr. The god of war from another land is about to partake in the ultimate war to end all wars. You expect him to try and grow stronger. For Kratos, not Atreus, Kratos to look for a way to use his godly powers to win or at least stop Ragnarok. You expect him to look for allies, to solve puzzles as he heads towards a solution to this problem. But he doesn't. Instead, what does he do? He goes on, and on, and on, and on some more about not wanting to do anything. It's not just that he doesn't want to fight, he doesn't want to face reality. He is borderline an antagonist in the sense of he keeps getting in the way of every other hero trying to do what they can to defeat Odin, the god who has made it clear he will be hunting him, or more precisely his son, down, who seems to know every move he is going to make. You were probably feeling some of this when you were playing. Ragnarok was on its way, so you wanted Kratos to do something about this inevitable fate. And I keep reusing that word for a reason, inevitable. But no, now, since you are no longer Kratos leading his son to a physical destination like in the first game, but instead being led around by your son as he's trying to figure out what to do, it's almost like you have no direction for most of the game. There was no grand scheme of things. Suddenly, those times spent on the lake or a sheet of ice are not as exciting. You're no longer really discovering this new land you're in. You've already done that. All the new enemies and whatnot, most of which are painfully underwhelming, they're just extensions of what you already know. You're not truly expanding your knowledge of this new adventure like the 2018 game did. Now, when you have to spend an ungodly amount of time, pun intended, slowly crawling up and down landscapes, you feel just how long this is taking. You're not climbing because you're trying to go up a giant mountain. You're climbing because the game needed a way to pad out the playtime. You're no longer headed for a destination. You're just waiting for something to happen already. Those puzzles that block your path? Maybe my memory is fuzzy from the first game, or maybe it shows how bad the problems are now, but oh my god, did everything feel like it was taking so damn long to do! The first half of the game felt like a puzzle simulator with some combat to give you a reprieve. I was complaining in my Discord I could not memorize the controls because such little combat was happening. That should never happen in a game like this. You're no longer solving puzzles that block your path to your destination. You're solving puzzles while, again, waiting for things to happen. This also adds to a major problem that the first game fixed, but they ruined it in the sequel. In the first game, it was revealed that Faye, Kratos' wife, had already been on this journey that she had her husband and son on. She was the one who wrote those runes down. This opened up a whole new slew of questions that were never answered in the sequel, but it was an excellent way to explain away the yellow paint syndrome that modern games suffer with. Now, however, that doesn't apply, since the journey is finished. It doesn't track after the tallest peak in the realm and the reveal, because she presumably, it's hard to tell because the game did a terrible job with this plot point, she presumably wanted Kratos and Atreus to break and shatter destiny, to find a new path that rips them away from prophecy. Side tangent on the related note, I sure do love how during the Kratos and Faye dream sequences, the first dream they had made it seem like Faye was contacting him, but then they decided to scrap that and instead made those dreams nothing but flashbacks. When Kratos spoke to the Norns and they were explaining to him how their prophecies worked, the characters eventually arrived at the conclusion that them trying to avoid prophecy is the very thing that keeps leading to it.
No, but Baldur's fate had many causes, prophecy among them.
How do you mean, brother?
There are many tales in my homeland of those who fulfilled prophecy by attempting to avoid it. So it was when Freya tried to protect Baldur, and so it was when I accused my son of going to Asgard.
They very strongly implied to us that Kratos, ignoring his very nature, the nature he was supposed to come to terms with already, was what was going to lead him to the prophecy of him dying and Loki siding with Odin. And that made sense! Kratos' constant attempts to protect his son and make him avoid his destiny was driving Atreus away. And it was looking like this driving wedge between them was going to make Atreus turn away from his father and into the hands of Odin. It made sense, and it followed what was implied. If Kratos manned up and dove headfirst into the inevitable war, Atreus would have been with him all the way. But his constant avoiding was setting up Atreus and Odin. It would have been brilliant if they followed through with that. Instead, they didn't really explain at all how they averted destiny. There was no turning point that changed everything. No grabbing the reins of your own fate. The closest was when Kratos told Atreus not to close off his heart, but instead to open it. But nothing going forward was altered by such a thing. Take out that entire scene and nothing changes. Kratos kept avoiding what he needed to do, which is be a general, until the very morning of Ragnarok. Even after Brock gets killed, he is still whining about having to seek vengeance and how he left that life behind. I became very angry when he began to do that. The Battle of Ragnarok itself was painfully anticlimactic. Very little combat until the final bosses, and the times you were fighting felt empty because all the enemies were weak and you were surrounded by health potions. You summoned all the realms to help, and it essentially amounted to nothing. The elves' only point was to die as you whine about it. The forces of Muspelheim and Niflheim were rendered moot because their gates were destroyed as soon as you arrived. I don't recall Helheim playing any role in anything anywhere. The dwarves didn't show up. Vanaheim had the characters we've already met, most of which were doing things off-screen. At least we got Jotunheim with the giant snake. Though getting punched back in time should have been more epic. And did we ever get an answer for who blew the horn to summon him in the first game? For the war to end all wars, it sure felt empty. Would have been an excellent time to throw a last-minute dragon at us, some more ogres, some more of the more difficult boss types, a champion boss battle, or better yet, really throw in a challenge by having us fight 2 champions, or a champion and an ogre, or something to really up the ante and make us feel like we're battling the elite, the final end of Odin's forces. I suppose I should be happy they didn't make us deal with more of these stupid things. The way everyone was passing around the sphere with Odin's soul was, sorry for using this cliche internet lingo, but it was cringe! They killed so many already, and now that they have the man who was the sole, entire linchpin of everything bad that has ever happened, they give some speech about how they don't have to kill him now. Just let the possibility of him escaping exist. It took Sindri to come in with the final blow, but I couldn't even cheer for that because of how pathetic everyone else was being. It would have been different if everyone was arguing about who gets the honors of offing Odin, and Sindri swoops in. So what even is Kratos anymore? God of War? Now with how much he runs away from it, even when it would be justifiable, or it could save existence itself. His son is off on his own adventure, so the father figure angle is over, which is good because they couldn't really milk that anymore. If God of War 6 happens, I don't see how it would be possible with this current soft Kratos. It's just annoying listening to him go, no, I don't want to fight, no, I don't want to do this, no, I don't want to go there, over and over and over again. I suppose one way I could see it happening, if some other land uses magic to pull him out of the Norse realm and into theirs, and the only way he can get back is to fulfill the wishes of those who summoned him, otherwise spooky magic will kill him, something like that could work. Then you can have the plot be Kratos looking for ways to break the spell, in the middle of being whoever's lapdog. Maybe more gods, maybe with some powerful sorcerer, like an evil Merlin or Pharaoh or something, I don't know. If they wanted to be smart and have a return to form, Kratos can decide to be a god of war with an open instead of a closed heart, and, in honor of his son, fight as the god of war to save realms from tyrannical gods instead of destroy them like he did with Greece. Or for another clever twist, he has to deal with those gods while dealing with another new character who is following the path he took in Greece. Maybe with Roman gods to complete the circle. Egypt is an obvious future location. Hindu mythology has more gods than you can shake a stick at. They can even do some sort of gods vs gods things with Chinese mythology, where the Jade Emperor has gone insane. And so it's up to a ragtag group of gods, with the help of Kratos, to take down his supporters and ultimately dethrone the Jade Emperor. I'm pretty knowledgeable in Chinese mythology, and know that there will be more than enough battle-ready gods for us to face. Kratos vs Wukong can happen, folks. So can Kratos vs Guan Yu, since he was deified after death. But that's enough fanboying from me. Something else that can happen to reawaken the old Kratos. He could drink certain potions and teas to get back to who he once was. From this random website I found, they have a tea called Wrath that he can drink, or another called Berserker Potion. Maybe he can join the kind of fire-focused nation and launch an attack that changes everything. I found all these teas and so much more at this website called The Dragon's Treasure, a haven for anime and tea lovers. Pay no attention to the fact that the name and logo for this channel is the exact same as the website. That's pure coincidence. Help support this website, which, in turn, they will support more videos like this one. Subscribe, comment, like and share the video, especially subscribe, as I am working on a pretty big project behind the scenes that should be out in a couple of weeks, and I think everyone is going to have a lot of fun with it.